Take This Lollipop. Can you tell us about that? That's this interactive Facebook thing?
Take This Lollipop is the most successful Facebook application of all time now. It's had over 70 million hits, and a commercial director named Jason Zada created it. He also created an application which plays every Christmas called Elf Yourself, which you may have seen, where you have little elves dancing and you put your family member's face on it. So Zada came up with the idea for Take This Lollipop. It's his baby. Facebook has API guidelines for their applications. And he and his team very creatively made an application that would do things Facebook never thought it could be done, but all within their guidelines. And so he created this application in which you give it permission to access your profile, just as you do with any Facebook application. Suddenly, you're in a dark hallway, you're over the shoulder of a very creepy guy, sweaty, grungy bastard in a wife beater, and he's trying to hack into somebody's Facebook profile. Oh my God, he's in whose profile? Yours. And he goes from there. He looks at your friends, he's pawing the screen, he's really agitated, and then he's looking up the map to see where you live. And it ends with him driving in a car coming to get you with your Facebook profile picture taped to his dashboard. So I got that role, and it helped quite a bit because essentially it was a 2-minute commercial for what I do best on camera. And it's been very good. I'm very grateful to Jason Zada for it.
The characters that you do play, are you modeling them after maybe people you've seen in public where you imagine their life is a certain way, or maybe people that you grew up with? Where are you finding this backstory for some of these characters? Are you modeling yourself after people you've known?
No. I suppose I'm not a good enough actor to do that. I suppose that I should observe people more and try to copy them, but Karen, I don't even know if I really know how to act. I've never been trained to do it. I just know how to become other people, and some of the time I can do it well enough so that people say, you're really the guy. You're really the redneck, who's slashing the Mexican's throat. That's a real guy, right? That's not an actor. I get those comments about stuff I do. So I just keep going to my own dark well, which is dark enough to draw from.
And then with Scare Tactics, they are crowdfunding. Have they shot the film, or is it in
No, we
post?
shoot in September in the fall.
Oh, okay. And whereabouts do you shoot?
Here in LA.
Okay.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
The reason that, I did this East Coast stage career for 13 years and came here 3.5 years ago, and I got really tired of sleeping on the road, because in theater, that's where you make your money, on the road. If you're willing to sleep in Wichita one night and in Louisiana the next, you can make money. But I wanted to be in a place where I could practice my craft and sleep in the same bed. So when it's an LA shoot, I'm always really happy. If it's an out-of-town shoot, like I gotta go to New York next month, and it's a lead role, and I'm glad to have the feature, but I'm like, why can't they shoot it in LA?
Right. When I was a little girl, I would write letters to Michael Landon and Scott Baio and Brooke Shields and ask them, how do I get into the business?
Did they write back any of them?
They did not, unfortunately. But I'm not even sure if I sent them to the right place. What would you advise somebody coming here? I mean, so many people think, oh yeah, go to Central Casting, and they sign up and you see all these bright, happy people from other parts of the country thinking that this is their ticket in. What's the way to work in this business?
Know who you are, and know who you are on camera, and try to make them the same thing, because the camera is a great truth detector. And I learned that on stage you can lie all day long. I did musical comedies, I did all types of roles, but the camera is right there. It's all eyes, and you have to tell them the truth. If you lie on camera, you won't be any good, and then you won't work on camera. So you have to take a real assessment of yourself. Look at yourself on camera. If you don't like what you see, there's probably something in yourself you don't like, because the camera ain't lying. The camera is telling the truth. The camera's telling you what you are and who you are. And if you don't like, you can't, I'm going to do a makeover. You'll still be the same damn person on camera. You've got to accept what the camera sees if you're going to work on camera. That's what I think. Camera acting is a whole different animal than the stage. And I know that sounds kind of nebulous, and people want to hear, oh, I need a good agent. They'll do it for you. But if you've got that, if you can say, what is it that the camera likes to see me doing? Where is that in me? And how can I make a clear channel for that? When I get on set and I'm in front of a camera, it's my friend now because I know who I am. I know what it wants me to do. The camera's like a lover. Michael Caine said that. And I find it to be true. The camera knows how it wants you to touch it. And if you don't touch it that way, it'll go look at somebody else. It's a fickle lover. So you got to keep it happy.
Interesting. So what if you see yourself on camera and you don't like what you see? Mm-hmm. Where do you do that inner work?
You have to define what it is. Now, crassly, this is called your brand. This is what you are. I tend to be dark on camera. I'm somewhat menacing, always a little bit, a little disturbed, a little off, something a little strange. Just the way the camera picks me up. So I got to find that stuff in me. Am I a little weird? Am I a little offbeat? Am I a little messed up? Am I a little strange? Yes. Acknowledge those parts and embrace those parts. You just can't lie. If you lie and you try to be a camera actor, unless you have really big breasts and you're 20 years old, you will not be a success. And then, as soon as you're 25 and you start to get the first wrinkle, it's gone. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'm a middle-aged guy. I came to LA, I'm nobody from nowhere. From a stage career that was big on the East Coast, but nobody cared about here. So I had to create myself and to create what I am on camera and make it who I am as a person too. So this has been really good for me. It's been a good process. I know who I am. And I think that's what acting's about, right?
Mm-hmm. How did you come to know your type? I mean, what was it? Was it a casting director that pointed it out?
When I came to LA, having done musical comedy and all sorts of light roles on the East Coast, my agent at the time sent me out for these soccer dad roles. And, you know, happy soccer dad, and for commercials, and, you know, it's the acne scars. And there are all sorts of scientific studies on what types of faces make you trust them and which type don't. And I have all the hallmarks of the face that you don't trust. The deep set eyes and the uneven texture and the lengthened face and the nose. I've got all of it. Everything about this face says don't trust me. So anyway, I was doing these soccer dad auditions, and this really nice camera guy in an audition took me to the side and he said, dude, you're the soccer dad who's going to kill the team and eat them. He said, that's what the camera sees. That is the truth. Go dark, and the darker you go, the more you will work. Change everything that's online about you to reflect that brand, because that's the truth that you are on camera. And he was right. As soon as I started doing that, I started working more and working regularly.
Were you okay with this evaluation?
No, not at first.
Wouldn't that hurt?
Not at first, because I had deluded myself. Actors are great self-deluders. And I had deluded myself into thinking that I was so versatile that I could do anything. And under the right lights on stage and under the right makeup, you do get fooled by the applause, because you can do anything there because it's a big tableau. But the camera, again, this is it. This is the camera. It's right here. There's nothing to hide behind it. If you try to hide, it's going to show in your eyes. So accept the truth or don't work. I chose to accept the truth of what I am on camera. I know this all sounds very pretentious, and people might think, oh, it's just about, you know, standing in front of the camera and finding my light and looking pretty. And it may be for another actor, but it's not for me. This is the only way that I can work.
What was the turning point for you when your career began to click? Was it when that casting director told you this is your type and you went with that?
Yeah.
And how did that happen? I mean, so then you knew, okay, this is how to market myself. What was it about that took you in a new direction?
I came into contact with the person who's now my manager shortly after that, Matt Chasen, and we talked about branding. And I have a marketing background. I love marketing. For theater, I marketed a lot of the shows that I was in. And so it clicked. It's the same thing. I'm laundry detergent. I'm Tide. What kind of Tide am I? I got a whole shelf of Tide. What am I? I'm Creepy Tide. You wash your clothes in me, they're going to come out creepy no matter what. Somebody else may be Sunny Tide or a whimsical Tide. And that's just a silly metaphor, of course, but that's the way I thought about it. All right, then how do I market that? I want casting directors to know exactly what they get if they cast me. Now, I have actor friends who say, dude, that's very reductionist, you know, you should be more broad-based. I don't think so. I think people are so extremely busy but they only have time to know one thing about you, one thing. And so I gave them that one thing and made it consistent all across the web. Without the web, I wouldn't be working.
Mm-hmm.
Most of what an actor can do for themselves is free. It just takes time and imagination.
I read online that you have this great quote that says, entertain people and they won't hit you.
That's right. If you entertain people, they will not hit you. It's very true.
Where does that come from?
It comes from being a fat kid with bad acne who knew all the answers in Sunday school, was a sissy, and couldn't throw a football in South Carolina. So all of those things together made me the most unpopular of unpopular kids, and I got picked on every day. And one day, these kids were really picking on me, and I did this impression of our principal, who sounded like he was 120 years old. And I did this impression of him on the intercom, and they laughed. And they didn't hit me. And I thought, aha, entertain people, they don't hit you. So that put me on the path. My whole career has been saying, please don't hit me.
Have you seen any of these people now that you used to know back in?
Oh yeah, they're all on Facebook. You know how that is. Everybody in third grade contacts you on Facebook.
Right, and now they're all friendly?
Oh, yeah, they're friendly on Facebook.
Okay, right.
Yeah, they're fine. You know, hey, Bill, way to go, great. You can't hold on to that childhood wounded stuff for very long without looking ridiculous. If you're 45 years old and still talking about how hurt you were as a kid, for God's sake, let it go. I mean, it's cute when you're 20, but you got to let it go. But still, it does help shape who you are.
Right, and I've always wondered about that too, because I grew up and experienced teasing. Do you think that how do you think it affects people that maybe they were just sort of the one that blended in the background and nothing ever happened to them, but they never sort of raised above a certain mark? How do you think it affects, I'm probably saying this the wrong way. What do you think it does to someone to be in that situation versus the one that was the popular one in school?
Makes you strong. I speak to school kids a lot, and I tell the kids, if you are picked on and you are unpopular and people make fun of you, then blessed are you, happy are you, to be envied are you. You're in a really good position because life is a series of things that knock you down. And I ask the kids, I say, when you get knocked down, what do? And all the weird, ugly kids say, get back up. And the other kids just stare at me blankly with their beautiful eyes. And I tell them, the beautiful people and the people who are always told that they're wonderful, when they get knocked, they just lay on their ass and wait for somebody to pick them up, because that's what mommy and daddy and teachers and everybody else always has, because they're beautiful. When they get out in the world, ain't nobody gonna care. You get knocked down in the world, people walk over you, they don't care. But the tough kids, the kids who grew up that way, they know how to get back up. So I think it's a good thing.
Wow, that's great. And so you speak to kids on, do you work with teachers, or how do you do that?
I used to tour to schools as part of my work on the East Coast. I would go do these workshops, artist in residencies, where you do performances and teach the kids about whoever you were performing. I played historical characters. And so I still go out and speak to schools whenever I can, because kids are interested in what it's like to be an actor. Now, all they want to hear about with me is the horror stuff. I could talk for days about a Hallmark movie that I did, but if I say I'm on 1,000 Ways to Die, dude, you were the one who ate that rabies. You ate the squirrel. Oh my God, was that real rabies? They love that stuff. That's all they want to talk about, is the scary stuff. And so I tell them that no, it was Alka-Seltzer. Way too much Alka-Seltzer. Yeah.
So what do you tell to those kids that maybe are bullied? What's your advice to them?
I tell them that this is what life is. Life will knock you down, and you have to make a decision. Am I going to get back up or not? I tell them that God has given you a gift. There's a reason you're here. You're not here just to breathe. You're not here just to take up space. You're not here to have sex or to buy cars or to become famous. All of that's a lie. It's all a lie, and it's a vicious, evil lie, and it's a hurtful lie for kids, I think. You're here to give whatever gift you have back to the world. Develop your gift the best you can. The thing that you're most passionate about, that should be your occupation. Give it back to the world, and you'll have a happy life. The only happy people I've ever met in my life are the ones who do what they love for a living. The rest of them are just miserable bitches, male and female. And who wants to be around somebody like that? So I'm not rich, but I get to get up every morning and at least have the possibility of doing what I love for a living. And that's incredibly liberating. I think we all have a vocation. If you can make your vocation your occupation, you've got the possibility for a happy life. So that's what I tell kids. And then they want to hear about the horror movies. But maybe they listen a little.
So are there ever times when you've questioned, should I begin a 40-hour week job? Is there a plan B?
No, there can't be a plan B, at least not for me. If there's a plan B, I'll go to plan B. I've been a working actor for 16 years now, 12 on stage, 3.5 here in LA, and I haven't had a day job because, at least for me, if I don't cut the moorings and just say that's it, this is my profession, I'll either make it or I won't, then I won't do it. And so what motivates me to get up in the morning and spend 10 to 12 hours on social media and work a 14-hour day doing nothing but sitting in front of the damn computer trying to figure out how to market myself, what motivates me is the need to eat. And that's good. That's really good. Because if I did this as a hobby, that's exactly what it would be, a hobby. Like, Michael Caine, who I keep going back to because he wrote the best book on film acting ever. Michael Caine said, if you're going to make it in film, it cannot be just a full-time job. It has to be a full-time obsession. And that's what it is. It has to be.
That's great. Was there ever a time you were close to quitting?
Yes, in the first couple of years before I sort of found my brand and what I did well on camera, there were times when I couldn't afford the peanut butter. Well, I had to decide between crunchy peanut butter and the smooth peanut butter, and do I get bread to go with it or can I just spoon it? That kind of a thing. Yeah, it was really, really tough. It was brutal, but because I've cut the moorings, I got nothing to go back to. This is what I do for a living. This is all I know how to do. I don't know how to do anything else. And I know I can do it on the stage and make a good living on stage, but I didn't want to go back to stage. So just fought on, pressed on, prayed, called my people back home and asked for encouragement. Keep on, keep on. I think for an actor trying to make it in LA, you can't have some long-term plan and say, if I don't make it in 6 months, I won't make it. It's day to day. Because here in LA, the magic thing is, at any time the phone can ring and it can be something wonderful. And that's not true anywhere else in the country for a film actor. This is it.
What do those 12 hours entail that you're in front of that computer? What are you starting your day off with?
What are you doing? What do you wake up? Do you get to emails first? What's your plan?
I need to do push-ups first. I need to. So I force myself, before I can have coffee, I got to do my 50 diamond push-ups. Then I can sit down. Because if I don't do that, if I just sit down in front of the computer, that's it. It's done. Then I'll sit down with the coffee, essential emails first. Oh my God, the emails. Do you get too many emails?
Yeah.
How can we reverse this? It's horrible. But there were some important ones in there,
Sure,
right?
sure.
So I do them, then I got about 14 social media sites that I'm on, so I got to go to each one of them and do whatever has, it's just the daily maintenance. A new post, I try to have a message of the day that cuts across all social media. I try to make it include a link. Then I'll do a Google search on myself. I've got Google searches for about 15 variations on me. Bill Oberst ugly, Bill Oberst skin, Bill Oberst creepy, Bill Oberst actor, blah, 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 blah. You find all kinds of links from all over the world because foreign sites pick up stuff off IMDb and put it on. Can I exploit those links? Is there some way I can work this? What's the angle? So then by about 10 o'clock in the morning, I've got a list of about 7 different avenues of things that could be the message of the day. And by noon, I need to have that message defined, have the link, and start spreading it across all the media. So then I do that. Then I go back to email and then just lather, rinse, repeat. And in the middle of that, every day, I try to do 3 or 4 cold contacts with directors or producers, and more so producers, because a producer told me a year ago, and it really hit me. He said, nobody respects us. Nobody ever contacts us. Nobody gives us the credit that is due us for helping to make this picture possible. So when I see a project I'm interested in, I write to the producers first. And if they can get excited about me, they will contact the director. And then in between all of that, you know, there's the standard submissions that you do and the standard auditions. And then you look up and it's time for bed. And you haven't left the house.
Do you rest on your manager or agent finding you work, or you're also okay?
No, absolutely not. And every younger actor who's asked me, number one, I say, what the hell do I know? You know, I'm just trying to make it myself. I'm just another working actor. But if you want advice, forget you have an agent. Forget you have a manager. Find your own work. If they find you work, it's gravy. But until you're to the level where you don't really need them, they're not going to be able to help you. Nobody's going to take you under their wing and care about you and make your career. You do that yourself. And if you're not willing to do it, go home. This is a very brutal town. And it has there's no spot here for people who want to be coddled. Maybe I'm too German.
No, I agree. So how do we stay safe in our minds? How do we deal with the fact that it is a very, very tough town, and not lose our sanity, basically, and not become hardened and bitter?
This is why, of the hundreds of thousands of actors who are in LA, you see the same ones at auditions over and over again. And I know this is true for you too, Karen. Right? You see the same people. It's because there's a very small pool of people who can do this. It's a heartbreaking business. It's full of rejection. People say, oh, you know, should I come to LA? No, don't. Unless you feel that you must. Like, there's a preacher when I was a kid, and I remember asking him, you know, why you preach? And he said, boy, preaching ran after me. And I ran from it, but it caught me, so I preach. And I think that's it. If you have the passion for it, that you can't do anything else with your life and be happy, then you can probably make it. But if you just want to be famous, good luck.
That's interesting, because now we have reality TV where it's considered good to have public meltdowns on camera.
Yeah, I know what you're asking.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, what do I know? I'm nobody from nowhere, you know, so I'm just a working Joe actor. But for me, my job is to help the people who like to see me do stuff, if they're already people, to help them have fun. Their life is really, really hard, and they're not turning to me for my emotional trauma or for any problems I'm having. They're turning to me because they say, hey, that dude makes me smile. It's fun. I love watching him do something heinous, if it's a horror movie, or being weird, if it's another movie. I like watching him. It's fun. And I can't violate that trust by saying, excuse me, I can't let you have fun right now because I'm going through something. That's not my job. If I'm a plumber, I better come in and work on your pipes, not come in and tell you that me and my wife are having a fight at breakfast. You don't care. You didn't hire me for that. So the audience is my boss, and I have to give them what they are expecting when they buy me, or that trust is violated and they're not buying anymore. So for me, that's what an actor's job is, and I think that's where old Hollywood had it right. People went to see a Jimmy Cagney picture. They knew why, and they knew what they were getting. My grandmother started smoking because Joan Crawford smoked on screen. That's how strong the influences were, because she was a little heavyset, and she went to see this movie, and Joan Crawford was there. And she was a shop girl, of course. She was always a shop girl. And she lit up. And they asked her character, they said, why do you smoke like that? And she said, keeps me thin. So Mama started smoking that day. And she loved Joan Crawford because she identified with her. She's a tough shop girl. I think that's what you have to give people, what they expect from you and what helps them to have fun. We're entertainers.
How did you become so resourceful in building Bill Incorporated?
Gotta eat. Baby needs shoes. What are you gonna do? You know, that's why I'm, at least for me, the important thing was cut the ties. No day job, nothing else. Do you make it? Don't delude yourself. If you can't make it as an actor, go work at the Quick Stop. Do something else. But don't pretend that one day I'm going to make it as an actor. Make it or don't make it. That's my theory. It's the only thing that's worked for me.
Have you always had this sort of tough love perspective or matter of fact in the way of getting yourself out there and dealing with rejection, or did this come over time through getting knocked down and having to learn to get back up?
I've never known anything else than being picked on or being felt odd or being excluded. I was never popular. I'm not an attractive guy. I've never felt as if I fit in anywhere. But luckily I picked a profession where all of those things are assets and not liabilities. So yeah, I love being able to manipulate marketing results. I've always been fascinated by how you can tell people what a product is, and if you do it correctly, they will believe it and purchase the product. I find that fascinating endlessly. So my little marketing brain is always thinking, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? New avenues, new avenues. Take this Lollipop. Came out in Germany on German television. And so I thought, I wonder if I could get some German producers or distributors interested in me because it was very popular in Germany. And so I sent them a link from YouTube of a German site called Der Spiegel TV, and they were talking in German about Lollipop and Oberst. So I wrote my little cover letter in German using Google Translate and wrote to about 13 distributors, and I got a nice bite from a pretty big German distributor of horror movies, and they want to talk to me about doing a development deal. based on, the strength of the Take This Lollipop thing. Not the same character, but doing some horror movies with me. And that was just because I thought, how can I make this work for me and exploit this? And it was all free, it cost nothing.
How do you manipulate Google search, and what does that mean to go wide? Like, what exactly are you doing?
Like that.
You can manipulate Google search results by having multiple instances of whatever search result you want across the web. You want to have the same message and the same keywords in metadata, if possible, within the website, in your own website certainly, but across every interview that you do, every piece of PR you put out, have those same keywords that you want associated with it. Google image search results are very easy to manipulate. You need to have the right pixel size, at least 500 pixels wide. You need to have an alt within there. If there's an alt tag 500 pixels wide, if you can put the name on the picture, that's even better. But you don't have to. It's going to pick it up. The spider's going to look for the alt tag first, the size second, and then multiple instances of that image across the web. This is where you sit there in your pajamas for 12 hours and you look up and it's 7 o'clock and you think, my God, I didn't even eat lunch, but I manipulated Google search results. Which is more important? I don't know. I guess it depends what industry you're in.
Well, and then everyone thinks that acting is so glamorous and it's walking the red carpet and
Yes,
doing
it's
all this.
wildly glamorous.
But this is what it really is. Do you think a
Yeah.
lot of people have in them those things, to sit behind that computer and to do a lot of very boring, dull work with no interaction from other people except a computerized message back and forth?
I don't know. I mean, I wish that I had come to Hollywood before I was born, in the days when you actually could be discovered. But you can't now, and this is what you have to do. You have to build yourself before anybody's going to be interested in you. And if you don't have the resilience to do that, then, you don't. People call you from back home and from other places, and they say, what are you doing? At work. And, oh, you're on set? No, in front of the computer. Oh, you're playing in front of the computer. They have no idea. And you can't describe to them because they get bored. When you talk about the intricacies of HTML tags, they don't care. But if an actor is not really, really, really computer savvy, like these two sides of your brain, are many actors. Oh, I just want to act. I just want to act. Right. Baby, you can't act unless you market. You've got to do both. So you have your marketing head on, and then when it's time to turn that off, close that file, open up your performing brain. And maybe this came from years of touring theater, where I actually had to load in props and set up sound and do sound checks, and then realize, oh my God, now I actually have to do the show too, and tear it down and drive to the next town. So you compartmentalize things. It helps to be a little nuts.
Well, we hear this from a lot of the actor friends that we know, that, oh, I don't have a YouTube channel, I don't want to deal with all that.
Oh, they're crazy. No, YouTube
channel? People. Yeah. I'll let my people do that for me.
They have people? Good. Let their people. I don't have people. This is my people. I'm my people. People? What are people? If I had people, I don't think I'd trust them. I really don't. I want to do this myself. This is my persona, my brand. I know who I am. I don't want people creating things for me because that's not authentic. It has to be a part of who I am.
So what are you doing to drum up work when you go through those stagnant periods that all actors go to? What do you do to keep that phone ringing?
You said work begets work. What
work
do you do?
Work begets work. Work as much as you possibly can. If you're not working, you're in a dry spell, and we all hit the dry spells. Can you work on a friend's project? Do it. Keep working, because the more you work, the more people see that you're working, and they want to hire you. Why? Because you're working. And then you get work because you're working, and it's a complete cycle. Don't ever stop working. Keep creating opportunities for yourself to work. But in those dry spells, you feel like you're never going to work again. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, the dam bursts, and usually it bursts because you went ahead and worked. Even if you weren't getting paid, you did something. You did a favor for a friend. Just keep working.
Can you tell us that story about old Hollywood, how accessible stars were back in the day?
Yes, the guy who does my headshots, his name is Jack Allen, Dream City Photography, told me this great story. When he was a kid, he said a lot of the stars were still listed in the phone book, and one of them was Mae West. And he actually called Mae West on the phone, and she said, what do you want? He said, I want to meet you. Come by Saturday. So he came by Saturday morning, Mae West apartment. Mae West opens the door, all done up to the nines. He never saw her when she wasn't fully done up. And she says, so you want to meet me? You want to meet me bad enough to do my laundry, kid? He says, yes, ma'am. So he did Mae West laundry. This kid who rode his bike to Mae West house. He got to know her, became her friend, and he went with her to the premiere of her last film, Sextet. And he told me that she never went in public without being fully done up. She had an old car from the 30s, which she kept in storage, and anytime she had to make a public appearance, the car was brought out, shined, dusted, repaired. She was always Mae West when she stepped out in public. That's old Hollywood. And it's gone, of course.